Well, all right. Uh, you know, this one might turn into a long video, but you'll probably be able to see that before you click on it, right? Uh, man, you know, they start with the obvious. They obviously didn't want to arrest the pedophiles, so they incriminated themselves in the process because they're covering up for pedophiles. How do we know this? I mean, they gave Leslie Groff protection, right? All those people from years ago, and they haven't done anything, and there's a preponderance of the evidence of people who should be shut down, investigated, arrested, prosecuted, otherwise, and the government is perpetuating the crime. They're co-conspirators in this crime, so they've just outed themselves to the nth degree with this one. And that's on its face, right? That's just on its face for everyone to see, plain as day. And I am anticipating a lengthy conversation for this video because it's after 3 in the morning. It's coming up on 4 o'clock in the morning, and I want this to feel like, it is an uncomfortable conversation, but I want the dialogue, right? Me just talking to myself here and you, federal agents listening. I want this to feel like, someone that you've known for years, right? Because you've been watching me for years. So, and obviously the feds are a bad example, right? Because they don't have souls. But for anyone watching this, I want it to be like that comfortable feeling you have with someone that you've known for years, right? As I try to collect my train of thought, a lot of times I make videos, and this one's no different in the sense that I'm shooting from the hip and I don't have any notes, right? Most of my videos I don't have notes, but I always feel rushed to talk, and so this one I'm gonna try not to feel so rushed. FISA 702 on the docket, or not, depending on how you look at that. Right, so that's Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. They extended it 45 days to allow for some type of review. Obviously, the FBI has been abusing FISA for years, and it's unclear why they are allowed to continue spying on American citizens and abusing the program. Other than the obvious, they're all corrupt as shit. And the reason they are spying on us so hard, I believe, is twofold. One, it's so that they know, or they can prevent us from becoming hip to their game of child trafficking. And two, just targeting and human experimentation. And we'll get into the energy weapons and the scientists as well. But I want to highlight the obviousness, if that's a word, of the fact that there's 80 or over 80 fusion centers in the United States that receive billions of dollars annually that are run by the FBI and the state police with the specific purpose of information sharing about criminal acts or the what have yous, the ongoings of what are going on in each state, and that information is shared. So if you have such a vast network of Trumpstein's Diddy list and all these people who are tied to that child trafficking network, and you have the most sophisticated technology out there and resources that's funded billions of dollars annually to track crime and share information so that crime can be prevented, right? Why then didn't they arrest anyone? And I think the answer is obvious. That's kind of the whole point, is how corrupt it is, how obvious it is. And so it seems to me that weed is definitely better medicine than anything the pharmaceutical companies put out. This video is not for kids. It seems to me that if they have all those resources and knowledge of what's going on, they do. They're just covering shit up, right? Choosing not to look at it, choosing to look the other way because it incriminates themselves. It's just so obvious and in your face, and this obvious solution then is litigation, because my understanding is that fraud vitiates everything, including immunity. So if these people are breaking the law, right, then they lose their immunity. Is that how that works? If you commit a fraudulent act, you no longer are shielded with the protections that you had if you were conducting yourself in a legal way. And I think that's where we're at. I think that's what we're seeing. It's just so dumb, you know. They seem to have had a lot of success with the brainwashing and the programming and the mind control, right? Bluebird, Artichoke, MK Ultra, Havana. It's all on paper. But I just mean they seem to have had success with the brainwashing if you try to have a conversation with any fucking person on the planet right now. You know, and obviously, again, I'm overgeneralizing, but there's still a lot of people who just you can't get through to. So their methods are successful from that standpoint. But and maybe now it's a good segue into the frequency and the energy weapons, right? The conspiracy energy weapons. Yeah, where are those scientists, bro? I know. Jet propulsion systems and aliens and shit. But is anyone familiar with the report from Iron Mountain? Fictional work that was created in the 60s, maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere around there. The report from Iron Mountain, the premise essentially is that all these experts in the field, whether it was probably military or education, Epstein's brain conferences, you know, all these people got together and formulated a strategy to maintain control if everything went sideways in the world, right? Does that sound familiar? Anyway, what they came up with, right, their solution was the threat of an alien invasion or an alien attack. That was what they came up with for their last possible move if they couldn't retain control. Are you here? Anyway. So everything's fake and gay. How about that? I want to say Brian Cole, but I don't even think that's his name. That Martinez posted about the fake and gay shooting, the non-shooting. Anyway, getting sidetracked again. So their corruption is on its face. They're trafficking children and protecting the traffickers, apparently through the government and every other quote-unquote legal entity. The obvious solution is litigation through the courts. And a really smart guy said that years and years and years ago. I think he's from Australia. I want to say like 20 years ago or something crazy. But he even been in the 90s. I don't know, but he was just out there talking about it. And it seems like that's the direction we're going, so that's great. We need to have a focus on the energy stuff because we are energy, right? They're microwaving everyone. They're preventing our natural growth. They're geoengineering the whole fucking planet with the chemtrails, okay? The nanotechnology that's inside of us, they've made humans semi-robotic with the biodigital convergence and every other happy horseshit human experimentation thing that we did not consent to. That needs to end. It's preventing us from growing, literally, all life on Earth. Speaking of I would imagine the birth rate is significantly down, like in terms of people who are getting pregnant, having kids, so on and so forth, because of the conditions. Like, that's total speculation. I have no idea. I've not looked at the numbers, and even if I did, would I trust them? Probably not. Again, that's, sidetracked, but that's the whole point of why we're doing anything, is so that there can be a future. I don't know how much fun it would be to live here alone and have everything, and there's nobody else here, right? And so the stuff with the energy, I don't know, the energy weapons, I just think that everyone is being affected, whether they know it or not, with the tracking, the radiation, or radio waves, or however they're using the cell towers. And I made a video on the patent. You can go look up how the electromagnetic waves are used and can be used with our individual cells. and essentially, DARPA N3 or Healthcare 4.0, whatever solution you want to reference that the government states that they're capable of doing, and all one needs to do is maybe think a little bit logically. Oh, if they can do this, could they also use that same technology to do something fucking terrible, right? Not that the government would do that. Of course not. Our government? USA? What? Come on. So anyway, logic. And they will be destroyed in real time, right? Or we will destroy ourselves in real time. But I genuinely believe that we've been afforded this time to make it right, to speak out, to use our voices. That's our most powerful weapon, is our voice. And it's through the courts. It is through litigating the courts and the people in their individual capacities, I think, for what they've done. Or maybe the entities themselves, right? So it just depends. I think, from what I understand, I'm not a lawyer. This isn't legal advice. From what I understand, cops and government and people have all sorts of immunities in their, official capacities, and they can't be sued. Or if they can, they're protected to the nth degree, right? And the sentencing for somebody like me compared to a law enforcement officer is going to be much different, right? But if somebody does something that they shouldn't have done, and you fill in the blank, I believe they could be litigated in their individual capacity. And I think through discovery and disclosure, that we can piece together the bigger picture, because they manipulate the data and the algorithms, and they control the information flow, right? It's the same, handful of media organizations or conglomerates that feed us every single bullshit lie that's out there. They control the stock markets. They control the price of everything. So the fuck was I talking about? Data. And then it's spun off into controlled data that's bullshit. Oh, man. Don't know. Totally lost it. No, we're gonna have to get back there. The fuck was I talking about? I don't know, but exposure through the courts. And enough exposure through the courts will certainly produce patterns. We like those patterns. And a preponderance of the evidence that, just something so obvious on its face and the family courts are a great example of that. I mean, that's happening now. All this is happening in real time. Just a question of whether or not you can face the truth. And that's the most important. If there's one takeaway from any of this at all, it is the truth. And that is what dismantles, every one of their lies, right? Their fake laws, their malpractice, their human experimentation, their crimes against humanity. The truth is our weapon. It's your voice. It's your responsibility as a grown-up person in this world to use your voice. Violence is not the answer. Violence will never be the answer. I'm not saying a person shouldn't defend themselves. I'm not saying that. But to seek out resolution through violent means is their tactic. That's what they do. That's why they start wars everywhere around the world, because that's what they do. That's how they control or whatever, or install fear. We fight with the truth. We fight with our voices, and we make them look stupid as fuck. Right? They try to mock us. They try to mock God. They tried to mock all life on Earth with their geoengineering, right, genetically modified bullshit. And our weapon is the truth. So, good game. And it's really on us, like in the most literal sense, because we outnumber them millions and millions to one. And the people get to choose what kind of life we want to have. Do we want to have a life that is, and it's not even for us, it's for the future, but like, does the future look like an oligarchy? I hope that's the right word. I don't really know these terms. That's just completely run and controlled by pedophiles and child traffickers and people who are under our skin experimenting with our physiology? Or do we want something that's more based in freedom and nature and natural stuff? All right. I'm not just going to drag it out. I think we covered some good stuff. FISA 702, pay attention to that. That's a problem. And the human experimentation, child trafficking, whatever they're trying to do with mind control, and you better believe it. Like, if you think they went from Project Artichoke and Project Bluebird to MK Ultra, covered up Havana Syndrome in the process, and oh, by the way, they're just happen to be working on the DARPA N3 program. Like, if you think that succession is in any way organic, natural, I mean, we know in fact that it's not based on the disclosures, but if you think they stopped that shit, come on, do your research. We win with the truth.